8 seasons, hundreds of battles. One love story that refused to die. And now we are standing at the very edge of it all. The Outlander finale is here, and the one question that every single fan has been asking since the very first episode is finally going to be answered. Will Jamie Fraser live, or will he die? This is not just a TV show ending. This is the closing of a chapter that millions of people around the world have given years of their lives to. People have cried over this story. People have lost sleep over this story. And right now, with episode 10 of season 8 sitting right in front of us, the emotions are at an all-time high. Before you watch that finale, you need to see this, because there are things hidden inside that trailer that most people completely missed. There are details in the first look footage that are telling us exactly what is coming. And by the end of this video, you are going to walk into that finale knowing things that casual fans have no idea about. So do not touch that remote. Do not close this video, because what we are about to break down together is going to change the way you watch the final episode of Outlander forever. Asterisk, think about where this all started. A young Scottish warrior standing in the middle of a battlefield, blood on his hands, fire in his eyes. And absolutely no idea that a woman from the future was about to walk into his life and turn everything upside down. That was Jamie Fraser. In the very beginning, rough around the edges, fierce, loyal to his bones, and carrying a burden so heavy that most men would have broken under it long ago. And Claire, a woman who had already lived one life, who already knew what love and loss felt like, suddenly pulled back through time into a world she did not belong to. She had every reason to run. She had every reason to find her way back to her own time and never look back. But she stayed, not because she had to, because something in that world, something in that man called to her in a way she could not ignore. That is what Outlander has always been about at its core. It's not the time travel, not the history, not even the battles, as dramatic and beautifully shot as every single one of them has been. It has always been about two people who were never supposed to find each other, finding each other anyway, and then fighting with everything they had to stay together across centuries, across wars, across death itself. Now, here we are, season 8, episode 10, the last one, and everything that Jamie and Claire have survived together, every wound, every separation, every moment where it felt like the universe itself was trying to tear them apart. All of it has been building toward this single hour of television. The weight of 8 years of storytelling is sitting on top of this one episode. And the people who made this show know that. The pressure to get this right is enormous. But more than that, the pressure that fans are feeling right now, sitting with that finale ready to play, is something that is very hard to put into words. Because this is not just about finding out what happens to two fictional characters. It is about closure. It's about sitting with a story that has meant something real to you and finally getting to see how it ends. And whether that ending brings tears of joy or tears of heartbreak or maybe both at the same time. It is going to leave a mark that lasts long after the credits roll for the very last time. Asterisk, there is a gravestone. Most Outlander fans know exactly which one. It appeared early in the series, quiet and easy to miss if you were not paying attention, and it had two names carved into it, Jamie Fraser and Claire Fraser. And the dates on that stone told a story that the show has been slowly, painfully building toward ever since. That single prop, that one piece of carved rock sitting in the ground, planted a seed of dread inside every fan that has never fully gone away. No matter how many times Jamie survived the impossible, that gravestone was always in the back of your mind, a quiet reminder that the show had made a promise. And promises in Outlander always get kept. But let us go back even further. Let us go back to Culloden. Because Culloden is the wound at the center of this entire story. It is the battle that was supposed to kill Jamie Fraser. History said he died there. The book said he was supposed to die there. And the show spent years building that moment up as the point of no return. Jamie sent Claire back through the stones, While he stayed behind to face a battle he believed he could not survive, he chose to die so she could live. That kind of sacrifice does not just define a character. It defines an entire story. And the fact that Jamie walked away from Kaladin, broken and bleeding but alive, did not erase the weight of that moment. If anything, it made everything that came after feel borrowed. Like every breath Jamie has taken since that battlefield has been living on time that was never truly his to begin with. Then came the years in between, the separation that stretched across decades and an ocean. Jamie building a life in the new world while carrying the memory of a woman he believed he would never see again. Claire raising a daughter alone in a time she understood but no longer felt at home in. Two people living half-lives because the other half of who they were existed somewhere else entirely. When they finally found each other again, it did not feel like a reunion written by a TV show. It felt like something that had been earned through real pain. It's a kind of reunion that makes you exhale a breath you did not realize you had been holding for 3 whole seasons. And that is the thing about Outlander that separates it from almost every other show on television. The suffering in this story has never felt pointless. Every loss, every injury, every moment of separation has always been connected to something larger. The show has always understood that love is not just the romantic moments. It is the choice you make when staying means risking everything. It is the decision to walk back into danger because leaving would mean abandoning the person who makes the danger worth facing. Jamie has made that choice over and over again across 8 seasons. And now, standing at the very edge of the story, the question is whether the universe is finally going to let him rest or whether it has one last demand left to make of him. Because here is what the finale is carrying into that final episode. It is not just the fate of Jamie and Claire. It is the fate of everything they built. Brianna and Roger and their children represent the future that Jamie and Claire bled for. The Fraser's Ridge, that piece of land carved out of nothing through sheer will and love and stubbornness, represents what they chose to create instead of simply surviving. William, Jamie's son, who grew up not knowing his father, represents the relationships that war and circumstance broke apart and that the story has been slowly, quietly trying to repair. All of these threads are still alive heading into that final episode, and every single one of them is waiting for the show to decide what kind of ending this story deserves. Asterisk. There is a moment in the finale trailer that lasts exactly 3 seconds. 3 seconds, and if you blinked, you missed it. But those 3 seconds contain more information about how this story ends than anything the showrunners have said in any interview, any press release, or any promotional material released so far. It is a single shot of Claire's face, no dialogue, no dramatic music swelling underneath it. Just her face caught in a moment between one emotion and the next. In that fraction of a second before a person either breaks or holds themselves together. And the look in her eyes in that shot is not grief, is not fear. 'Tis something far more complicated than either of those things. It is the look of someone who already knows what is coming and has made peace with it. That one shot tells you everything about where this finale is going. And almost nobody who watched that trailer stopped long enough to notice it. That is what this breakdown is for. It's because the people who cut that trailer are not just stringing together exciting moments to get you to tune in. Every single frame was chosen deliberately. Every cut, every pause, every piece of music placed underneath the visuals was a decision made by people who know exactly how this story ends. They are not going to give it away directly, but they are absolutely leaving a trail. And when you know how to follow it, the trailer stops being a collection of exciting clips and starts reading like a map. The trailer opens on darkness. Not a dramatic, cinematic darkness with light bleeding in from the edges. Actual darkness. A few seconds of almost nothing before the first image appears. That choice is intentional. Darkness at the start of a finale trailer is a directorial signal that what is coming is not a triumphant ending. B. It is not the kind of closing chapter where the hero rides off into the sunset with everything intact. Darkness at the start means the story is going somewhere heavy before it finds its way to the light. If it finds its way to the light at all, pay attention to that opening because it sets the emotional temperature for every single thing that follows. Then Jamie appears. And the first thing you notice, if you are watching carefully, is where he is standing. He is not on the ridge. He is not in a familiar location that carries the warmth of home and everything the Frasers have built. He is standing in an open space that looks stripped bare. The landscape behind him is wide and empty in a way that feels isolating rather than free. And his posture, the way he is holding his body in that shot, is not the posture of a man ready for a fight. It is the posture of a man who has already decided something. There is a stillness to him in that moment that is completely different from the Jamie Fraser who has been throwing himself into every battle and every crisis across 8 seasons with fire and urgency. This Jamie looks like a man who has arrived somewhere. It's not a physical place, an internal one. Claire's scenes in the trailer are cut differently from Jamie's. And that difference matters more than anything either of them is saying out loud. Her scenes are faster, more fragmented. The editing around her footage has an unsettled, searching energy that contrasts sharply with the quiet stillness surrounding Jamie's moments. What that contrast is telling you is that these two people are not in the same emotional place as this finale begins. Jamie has found his footing somewhere inside himself. Claire is still fighting, still reaching, still refusing to accept something that the story may have already decided. That push and pull between acceptance and resistance is the emotional engine driving this entire final episode. And the trailer is broadcasting it loudly for anyone willing to slow down and actually look. And then there is the music. The trailer uses a version of the Outlander theme that has been slowed down and stripped of almost everything that normally makes it feel like home. The familiar melody is still there underneath, but it has been pulled apart and restructured into something that feels like a memory rather than a present moment. Music supervisors do not make that choice accidentally. When you take a theme that an audience has spent 8 years associating with love and safety and belonging, and you rebuild it into something that sounds like looking back at those things. From a distance, you are telling that audience something without using a single word. You are telling them that what they are about to watch is not the story continuing. It is the story remembering itself one final time before it lets go. Asterisk here is the truth that every Outlander fan has been dancing around for 8 years, but never fully wanted to say out loud. The show has been preparing us for Jamie Fraser's death since the very beginning. Not in a cruel way. Not in the way that some stories kill off beloved characters just to prove that they are willing to do the hard thing. Outlander has been preparing us in the way that great storytelling always prepares you for an inevitable ending. Slowly, quietly, layering in the signs so gradually that by the time you arrive at the moment itself, part of you already knew. It was coming long before your mind caught up with your heart. Go back to that gravestone, the one with both their names on it. The show put that image in front of you early and never fully explained it away. Every time fans came close to getting a satisfying answer about what it meant, the story shifted direction just enough to keep the question alive. That is not an accident. That is a writer's room that knew exactly what that gravestone was for and was protecting the answer until the very last possible moment. The gravestone was never a background detail. It was a destination. And the finale is that destination. Then there is the newspaper. The death notice that Claire found in the future, the one that listed a fire at Fraser's Ridge with Jamie's name connected to it in a way that was never fully resolved. The show introduced that plot point and then spent seasons allowing fans to hope that it meant something other than what it appeared to mean, that it was a mistake, that it referred to someone else. That time travel had changed the outcome. But here is what experienced storytellers understand that casual viewers sometimes miss. When a story introduces a specific, detailed piece of foreshadowing and then spends years refusing to fully dismiss it, that foreshadowing is not there to be dismissed. It is there to be fulfilled. But here is where the theory becomes genuinely complicated, because there is an equally strong argument on the other side of this. And it deserves to be taken seriously rather than brushed aside by people who have already made up their minds. The showrunners have spent considerable energy in recent interviews talking about legacy. It's about what Jamie and Claire leave behind, about the future that their children and grandchildren carry forward. That is not the language of a writing team building toward a simple, tragic death. That is the language of people thinking about what a life meant rather than just how it ended. And that distinction is important, because there is a version of this finale where Jamie Fraser dies, and it is still, somehow, a story about survival. About the parts of a person that outlast their body. About love that does not end just because one half of it stops breathing. The middle path theory is the one that feels most true when you sit with everything the show has built. Jamie does not survive in the way fans have been hoping for, meaning he does not walk into the future with Claire and grow old beside her in peace. But he also does not simply die and leave the story without resolution. What the finale appears to be building toward, based on everything inside that trailer and everything the first look footage is quietly suggesting. It's a closing chapter that is both an ending and a beginning at the same time. Jamie's story ends, but everything he was, everything he fought for, everything he loved continues forward through the people he leaves behind. That is not a consolation prize. In the language of this particular story, that is actually the highest form of victory a character like Jamie Fraser could ever achieve.